Thank you. I want to thank the good efforts of the senators who have led the work in finding a compromise in this regard, in particular Senator Toomey and Senator Lummis, who've worked very, very hard on this issue. Bismarck said many years ago that there are two things you don't want to see being made: sausage and legislation. And when it comes to particularly ugly legislation, this component, the regulation of cryptocurrency, may take the prize for the ugliest we have seen. Moments from now, I expect that we are going to see objections to this compromise amendment that was negotiated. If we do in fact see objections, and if the underlying language in this bill goes into effect, it will have devastating effects. There is a new and exciting industry in the United States of cryptocurrency, whether Bitcoin or otherwise, that are generating jobs, entrepreneurs who are creating new values, new hedges against inflation, new opportunities, and it is fast-moving. It is dynamic. And this infrastructure bill, a bill being sold to the American people as let's build some roads and bridges, has one little portion in there designed to obliterate cryptocurrency. Now, I fully understand that there are some bureaucrats at the Treasury Department who have never seen anything they don't want to regulate the life out of. But if the underlying language in this so-called infrastructure bill becomes law, we will be destroying billions of dollars worth of industry in the United States. We will be destroying jobs in the United States. Many of those jobs are in my home state of Texas. And we will be sending them overseas. Listen, it isn't complicated. Cryptocurrency isn't tied to any particular piece of dirt. So the grand efforts of the United States Senate will be to say, we don't want those jobs in America. We don't want those resources in America. Go somewhere else. The ugly truth with which Bismarck understood, and which is particularly true on cryptocurrency, there aren't 5 senators in this body with any real understanding of how cryptocurrency operates. We have had no hearings on this. The Senate has had no hearings on this. The House, as far as I know, has had no hearings of this. And yet, this body is prepared to obliterate an industry willy-nilly, or for that matter, the compromise. And listen, the compromise that was put forward would be a meaningful improvement, would do much, much less damage. But even the compromise would essentially kick the can down the road and allow bureaucrats at Treasury to do massive damage. And the bureaucrats at Treasury don't understand this any better than does the United States Senate. The right outcome, I think, is an amendment I introduced: strike the whole damn thing. If we want to legislate on this, actually do our jobs. Be a deliberative body, hold hearings, listen to witnesses, understand the consequences, know what we're doing. That would be the reasonable, rational thing to do. Don't just put out a rule of massive taxes and regulations with no understanding of the consequences and jobs and real people that would be hurt. For whatever reason, the Senate doesn't seem to want to behave reasonably or rationally. And I think the consequences are going to be long-standing of this foolish legislation. I think Senator Toomey and Senator Lummis have worked hard on a compromise to brunt the worst aspects of this legislation. And so I hope the proposal they put forward, or about to put forward, is adopted. But if it is not, I'm going to predict that every one of the 100 senators here is going to come to regret that this body took a part in destroying jobs and a budding industry that will provide billions of dollars of new opportunity. And if the Senate keeps on this course, we're going to send it instead overseas to our competitors. That would be a tragic mistake. Mr. President, unfortunately, we just saw the senator from Vermont object to a compromise solution negotiated by Senator Toomey and Senator Lummis that would have mitigated some of the harm from the devastating new regulations on cryptocurrency in this so-called infrastructure bill. Because the senator from Vermont raised that objection, The status quo right now is these new regulations are going into effect, and billions of dollars of value are going to be destroyed. Right now, today, about 106 million people are using cryptocurrencies around the world, according to at least one recent report. The average annual income in the United States for a blockchain developer is $136,000. That represents a steady career, a good income for someone to own a home, to raise a family, to live a good and comfortable life. And Texas is helping lead the way. Texas is taking the lead this past year as a major hub for cryptocurrency businesses and is even being hailed as the cryptocurrency capital. But all of this is under threat. Regulatory uncertainty is the number one barrier to blockchain adoption, according to 48% of respondents in a recent report. And they're right to be worried. The current bill widens the definition of broker, those who would have to collect information on cryptocurrency consumers and report this information to the IRS. It would force every single participant in the cryptocurrency structure to operate as a financial institution, which would mean they would have to provide consumer information to the IRS, even if they don't have access to that information. This overly broad definition of the word broker will block rapid innovation in cryptocurrencies, and it will endanger the privacy of many Americans in cryptocurrencies. This is wrong. So I applaud my colleagues for trying to find an incremental approach. Unfortunately, because the senator from Vermont objected, that incremental approach hasn't been adopted. So let's exercise a brief, shining moment of common sense. And let's recognize, if we've gathered all 100 senators in this chamber and asked them to stand up and articulate 2 sentences defining what in the hell a cryptocurrency is, that you would not get greater than 5 who could answer that question. Given that reality, the barest exercise of prudence would say we shouldn't regulate something we don't yet understand. We should actually take the time to try to understand it. We should hold some hearings. We should consider the consequences. We shouldn't destroy people's lives and livelihoods from complete ignorance. My amendment's very simple. Doesn't add anything new to this bill. It just strikes these provisions. It says, look, let's not do this till we know what we're talking about. Let's be cautious. Let's be reasonable. Let's not be the number one economic developer for the Communist Party of China by sending cryptocurrencies overseas to our competitors because we've made it impossible for them to succeed here. Accordingly, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that notwithstanding adoption of substitute amendment number 2137, that the Cruz amendment number 2466 be agreed to.
Is there objection?